The future of Crash and Spyro and what kinds of games should come next has been a hot topic for lots of us in the community. It's been talked about time and time again, so I thought we'd talk about it again today. To summarise my current take on the situation regarding what game should come next, I'd say new game, new game, new game, new game. But does this mean that all remakes should be dead permanently? Should we never see a remake again? Today we're going to talk about that in lots more detail, so if you want to see more Crash and Spyro videos, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into it. So yeah, after the success of Crash and Spyro and their trilogies that we've had in the last few years, we need new games. We need new games to capture new fans and to keep new fans, and we also need new games, yeah, just for a momentum issue. I think that more people want new games than they do more remakes right now. But I don't think this is necessarily as cutthroat as like people have suggested before. Like before I have seen, and I think even I have been guilty of this to an extent, it's like, well, we either have a new game and no more remakes ever, or we have remakes and no new game ever. And I don't think it's as clear as that. I think that, yes, a new game comes next, but does that necessarily have to mean that remakes are off the cards permanently? I think that remakes could have a place, and always probably will have a place somewhere, because they're unique, they have their own strengths. Like, new games are good, and if they get them right, new games are often absolutely fantastic, but they can't offer that nostalgia that remakes can offer. Like, I saw somebody, I think he could have been Jordan Fringe, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure when he saw the Reignited trilogy, it was such a brilliant nostalgic experience from him. It actually either brought him to tears or nearly brought him to tears. New games can't really do that. It's with these remakes that you can get such emotional responses, and it's absolutely brilliant to see. It's more than just nostalgia though, isn't it? Because lots of these old games are actually really good, and I think there's a lot to be said for bringing them back at some point. Granted, on the Spyro side of things, that desire is probably smaller. I mean, yeah, Enter the Dragonfly, I don't really ever want to see that again. But I wouldn't actually mind something like Hero's Tale coming back. I really enjoyed that game first time round. And also just think about on the Crash side of things, Crash Twinsanity. I mean, I've seen a fair bit of gameplay on that game, and I would really love to have an opportunity myself to play that. Yes, I may have been just slightly late to the party, please don't hate me. Another point I'd like to make is that my whole reasoning for brand new games at this point is pretty much to capitalise on the momentum from the Insane and Reignited trilogies. Like, capitalising on that momentum is such a pressing issue right now. But I don't think that in the future, once we've got new games, capitalising on momentum with brand new games will be such a pressing issue anymore. Let's say that in the next couple of years, we actually end up getting the first of new trilogies for both Crash and Spyro. We'll know we're into that. We'll know we've got the first game and we've got 2 and 3 to look forward to for both. And then I think that issue of momentum is just, it's not as pressing at all. For those who wanted to revisit something like Crash Twinsanity, if it was released after we've had the first of a new Spyro and Crash trilogy, you know, you could do it. But for those not so bothered, you could just give it a miss. You've still got the brand new games to look forward to. You're probably not going to throw in the towel with Crash and Spyro because there's lots more to jump into. You know, I think that if they launch new series for both Spyro and Crash, and you know, you give it a bit more of a linked storyline, there's no reason that something like Crash Twinsanity or A Hero's Tale couldn't be sort of put in for a little bit of time, and then, you know, you can either take it or you can leave it. That's just what I think anyway. So, I've sort of covered and said yes, I definitely want to see remakes again at some point in the future, because I really would love to. I mean, new games are more important, but I think at some point remakes would do a good job. But how exactly could they be implemented, and how exactly would we see these in the future? Now, I have a few theories on this, but obviously feel free to share any more if you have them. So the first theory I have is that remakes could be used as a stopgap. Like, if we're getting new Crash and Spyro games every year, if like Toys for Bob or someone needs a bit more time to develop the new Spyro game, could we sort of put in a remake in there to fill a year and give a bit more development time for a new game? There is one big issue with this theory, and that's that in the past, especially with Skylanders, Activision have proven that with their various studios, they can get a game out a year, a brand new game out a year. So I'm not convinced we'll need to see remakes again as stopgaps. The next two options on this list I'm a lot more happy about, I'd be a lot happier to see. So the first one is that maybe, yes, you know, Activision can manage a new game every year. We've got Beanox, Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, you know, there's lots of resources there. But could they perhaps, you know, squeeze out another remake if they spent a couple of years developing it on the side? Could we actually get a remake as a separate game? Now, could this remake, for example, release in the summer before a brand new game releases at the end of the year? Pretty much giving us, you know, either 2 Crash games a year or 1 Spyro game, 1 Crash game in a year, something like that. I think if they could manage that, that would be an absolutely brilliant achievement. Now, what I wouldn't want to happen is that this remake takes away from a new game, but I think, you know, if they could manage that over a number of years in their workload, that'd be a pretty cool idea as well. The final idea I had on how we could bring more remakes would be to perhaps bundle them in with a new game. So maybe if you buy a special edition of the new Crash game, you'll get Crash Twinsanity thrown in there as well, which, you know, it could just encourage people to spend that little bit extra money and get that little bit extra content. I'm not sure if that'd work brilliantly, but, you know, maybe they could throw Twinsanity in with the gold edition on release and then 6 to 12 months later sell the game separately for a little bit of a cut price. I don't know. I think all them options are possible, so yeah, what do you think though? However, before we end this video, we have to talk about the one game that people just feel like we need a new remake of. This game gets mentioned so much in the comment section, I've actually given it its own section in this video. Well done everyone. But yeah, Crash Bash. This game, yeah, I get it told that we need remakes of this game quite regular, and you know what, after doing a bit of research, I think it could be a good idea. Now I think Crash Bash would be good, especially if you wanted to just sort of, or needed to fill a year. If they needed another year to develop a brand new game, putting Crash Bash in there would be a really good game, not just for the people that want it, but also for Activision. I say it's good for Activision because I think, you know, they could keep bringing new content to it. We could have a sort of similar CTR situation here where they keep the game alive with new content. But yeah, I think if we're going to see one game remade that's Crash or Spyro, Crash Bash wouldn't be a bad shout right now. I have played another party game recently. Well, last year, Super Mario Party released on Switch, and that was really disappointing. So having a new party game out there, I really like the look of that. What do you think to the idea of more remakes for Crash and Spyro? Do you agree with me that yes, it's a brilliant idea once we've had new games, or do you want like Crash Bash, Crash Bash, Crash Bash? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you have enjoyed today, please do hit the like button on this video. It really does help us out, and do consider subscribing to the channel for more weekly Crash and Spyro content. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've had a great Christmas and have a great new year, and I will see you again soon.